Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders all over the world to share their insight and expertise so we can all grow together. I am your host, Heidi, and the co-founder of the Spotlight to Scale Accelerator, where we help companies drive revenue by being seen as the authority and go-to expert in their industry versus just another product or service. And today we are talking about coaching, which is one of my favorite things. As a business strategy coach, I love talking about coaching and the benefits of coaching, both for people personally and for in business growth. So welcome to my guest, Sarah Ellis Conant. Welcome, Sarah, to the podcast. I'm so excited to talk with you today.
Thank you, Heidi. I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And we're going to dive in. You are the leader of A Plan Coaching. So can you tell us more about you, your company, and your role within it?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. Let's see. So I've been an executive and leadership coach myself since 2000.
Mm.
My father was one of the founders of the industry of coaching back in the late 80s.
Ah.
He wrote the first, for those who are watching on YouTube, he wrote the first ever book. Here's a few of his books. He's written 9, but
Wow.
I stand on his shoulders. So I'll take a moment to talk about him. He wrote the first ever book titled Life Coaching, and he's trained tens of thousands of coaches, helped create the International Coaches Federation guidelines, Creating Your Future, his most recent book, Falling Awake, Creating the Life of Your Dreams.
Oh.
So his focus was really on life coaching. And I took that coach training with him, got my MBA at Stanford, had about 6 years at Deloitte Consulting in their human capital practice, which was all things related to leadership and people development. And then from there, co-founded A Plan Coaching with a client of mine, actually, Michael Counts, who had me as his coach since 2002, on and off. So this was 15 years later. And he came to me and said, Sarah, you're the best. I've worked with lots of coaches. He's sort of a coaching connoisseur. He loves coaching. And he said, your approach has been the most effective. And I really want to make coaching more accessible through scale and through technology. And so at the time, I was just head of coaching. And then a couple of years later, came in 2019 as CEO. But we had our first clients and our first sort of MVP app and smartphone, our app and dashboard in January of 2018. And so we just celebrated our 7-year anniversary and have grown. We have 80 coaches and thousands of clients around the world. So I'll tell you more later, but that's at a high level, my journey to today.
Well, thank you for sharing and congratulations on 7 years. That's amazing. So Sarah, what are some of the biggest benefits of working with a coach? You had a client that now is a business partner. He got a lot of success from it. You said he loves the industry of coaching. So what's the benefits of working with a coach for both individuals and for businesses?
Yeah. I like to think about coaching as a way to optimize, to bring your best self to your leadership and your life. And we at A Plan believe in whole person coaching. When I've been working with the executives these past 20 years, I've seen that often what unlocks a leadership breakthrough is a breakthrough in their personal lives, whether it's personal health improvements, relationships. And conversely, if you're really struggling in your personal life, that's going to impact your career and your leadership. So that's why we look at the whole. And again, we're just helping people optimize, live their A plan life, not their B plan or their C plan. And our name also comes from the idea that what you need to really be your best as a leader, as a spouse, as a mother, as a parent, be your best, whatever you want to be, athlete, right? We use coaches across industries to be our best selves. What you need is a plan, and a coach helps you create that plan. First, clarifying what success looks like, what your goals are, and then creating realistic action plans to achieve those goals.
So what's the difference? I'm curious because a lot of people can get confused. What's the difference between coaching and consulting, and how do companies know which one they need?
Yeah, great question. And as coaching has risen in popularity, I also see a lot of people calling themselves coaches who are actually providing more what I would call, and the International Coaches Federation, which is the sort of defining certifying body, would call consulting. So consulting is where the answers are with the consultant or the advisor. A coach is someone who helps you arrive at your own best thinking. So the coach may throw some of their best thinking into the mix, say, okay, here's what I've seen work for others, but primarily their goal is to say, Heidi, given your values, given your leadership style, given your purpose, given your goals, what's the right next move here? You're brilliant. I trust you. I know you know better than anybody else. And in fact, for me as a coach, I think advice and consulting, while often well-meaning, can be a little bit arrogant, right? How could I know what's going to be best for someone else at the end of the day? So as a coach, our role is really to assist people to find their own answer.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. Thank you for clarifying that because I know people listening are probably like, well, how do I know which one I need and what's the difference? Or, and I think both have great value, right? So how does coaching help leaders and teams become more effective in their specific roles?
Yeah. And we do both individual one-on-one coaching and also team coaching.
Mhm.
And again, it's really about clarifying what success looks like. And that can be done right at the individual level. I want a promotion, or I want to make X amount of revenue. I want to grow my business in XYZ ways. Or it can also be at the team or organizational level.
Mhm.
Um, so once those goals are clarified, and that, when we have a clear North Star, then it often becomes apparent the obstacles. And we work with a three-step coaching method that involves first clarifying the goals and then creating what we call a map, which is an acronym for multiple action plans. And with the idea that, if you're at point A on a map and you want to get to point B, the vision realized or the goals achieved, there are always dozens of different paths to get from A to B. And often, we're driving along and we're hitting a roadblock and people think, I guess I can't get to point B. Well, no, your coach will help you think outside the box, new, innovative ways of thinking. Like, okay, I've been driving. Let me pause. Maybe there's a different route I could take where there wouldn't be a roadblock, or even a different approach, metaphorically, right? So I've been driving. Oh, maybe I need to try a bicycle or a hot air balloon or roller skates. All right. We really think outside the box so that we can have results beyond what we ever thought possible. And then each coaching session, the third step in our process after visioning and mapping is to just put it into action. And every coaching session ends with clear intentions and commitments to progress, whether those are behavioral changes or shifts in beliefs. Um, and that's where the magic really happens, right? When you go out and start living your life, leading your organization differently than you would have in the past.
Thank you for explaining that, Sarah, because I was going to ask you actually, what is the process? What does it look like to work with, your company and A Plan Coaching and you and your team of 80 coaches? So I know, I'm sure, I don't know for a fact, but I'm guessing that seeing your dad as a pioneer in this industry and you watching him with all his, growth and success, and then having your own growth and success, you've seen a lot of evolution. So how has the coaching industry evolved and why is it more important than ever in today's business world?
Yeah, great question. It's been really fun to see the explosive growth. I mean, when I was starting out as a coach, it was sort of an unknown. Michael, my co-founder, used to joke that he had raised venture capital and he would sort of, hide the fact that he was coaching because it was like this little bit perceived as unusual. He's based in New York. I was based in California. He didn't want to be perceived as like woo-woo or something. And now, of course, venture capitalists partner with us to pay for coaching for their portfolio companies. So the shifts that we've seen are not only increased adoption of coaching, but also incorporation of technology. And we've really leveraged that to make the coaching more effective. So we've developed a smartphone app and browser-based dashboard. Anyone can access it actually for free, wherever you like to get your apps, the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. And not only is our three-step coaching method baked into the app and dashboard, but also a lot of neuroscience. So, we were talking about that third step in our process of putting things into action. Breaking those goals down into achievable sub-goals is something that's baked into our app. Making progress towards those goals. You'll see a progress bar across the top of the screen, or when you check off that you've accomplished a goal, you'll get confetti. And there's a lot of research that shows that when we observe our progress towards our goals, it motivates us to keep wanting to make progress towards our goals. And also that we work with Dr. Rick Hansen out of Berkeley, his 12-second theory, that when we put our attention on something new, for just 12 seconds, it can rewrite our neural pathways. So literally thinking thoughts we've never thought before and creating mental patterns that serve our highest success. So if you're working on self-confidence, for example, just putting your attention in the app on, okay, here are ways that I really felt great about my performance, my life and leadership today. Building that new neural pathway of seeing your gifts, feeling confident in yourself. So the app and the technology is designed to enhance the coaching. And I think that's been one of the greatest areas of progress for our industry as a whole. And I'm really proud of what we've built at A-Plan in terms of our technology.
Yeah, it sounds incredible. And I love that you're taking the technology that's available and you're utilizing it to best serve your clients, whether it's personal clients, one-on-one clients, or in the business capacity, or in the executive space. So Sarah, let's talk about business growth and challenges that you've seen businesses face that you've worked with. So what are some of those biggest challenges that you've seen the companies that you've worked with face, and when it comes to scaling, when it comes to growth, and how can coaching overcome them?
Yeah, as I mentioned before about venture capital investing in coaching, we also partner with a number of private equity firms. So often when they are wanting, we've also partnered with a number of hypergrowth tech companies from Google to Stripe. Often what we see is that we do a lot of founder coaching. So alignment of vision, and then clarity of roles and decision-making authority. Also just figuring out goals and really clarifying organizational goals, coming to alignment on that, and then maintaining culture as you grow. Often the special sauce for startup companies can get diluted as they grow. But to retain top talent, to keep people passionate, again, go on all of that, the role clarity, decision-making authority, clarity of vision and goals, and then just great communication skills. Probably in addition to coaching, we do training. Probably one of our most popular trainings, especially for growing companies, is around giving and receiving feedback. Highest performing teams give each other a lot of feedback, not only constructive feedback, but there's some great Harvard Business Review research that shows that the highest performing teams give feedback in a ratio of 5 positives for every 1 constructive over the lifetime of the relationship. So we need to be positively reinforcing what people are doing well as being candid about what needs improvement. So again, I would say that's often more in the sort of training realm. We'll train teams, executive teams, leadership teams, new people managers, and then bring the coaching in on a one-on-one basis to help with the behavioral change, right? So you might learn a concept in a training around how to effectively give feedback, but then when it comes to the individual, being able to do that in their leadership, the one-on-one coaching can help. Some managers, of course, are working on being more candid, Some are working on being more compassionate. Some are working on listening more effectively. Some are working on uh, real-time communication.
Yeah.
So the individual coaching can help with whatever those specific customized needs are for the leader.
Thank you for breaking all that down. And I love that you brought up feedback and that you have a training specifically around that, because I think no matter how big your company is, if it's not just you, it's important to get good at giving and receiving feedback, and having that training and that capability and that knowing how, for lack of a better word, I wouldn't say expertise, because I think it's something we're always learning, but knowing how to properly give feedback and receive feedback, and knowing it's not personal, it's in order for the betterment of the goals of the company, and achieving the goals of the company is super important. And I think for productivity, for increasing productivity, increasing efficiency, and creating a really cohesive culture
Yes.
inside of a company or a business, it's important whether you are a entrepreneur in the coaching space or you are a more of a B2B type of C-suite company business, then you need to be able to communicate, right? It's all about communication, and communication, connection creates currency, builds currency. And that, I think, is really important when it comes to feedback. So that's the first time I've heard anybody say that they build that into their training programs. And I think that's really key. And I love that you're doing it, because I think that's a big part of helping a company grow, and also maintaining their partnerships and relationships within their company with their employees, and whether it's management to employee, or employee to upper management, or vice versa, whatever that looks like, or even when it's businesses, companies to like VCs, or whatever that looks like, those relationships, receiving and giving and receiving feedback is important and critical if you're going to
Yeah.
grow. So I'm sorry I ran it on that, but I just love that you
Oh,
said
no.
that. It was a key takeaway for me.
Yeah.
And I hope for those of you listening, if you have a business or you are in business and you're planning on growing, then that is one key piece that you definitely should be putting into one of your growth strategies, because that is a big part of building culture, relationships, and increasing your revenue in client base too. So, Sarah, what are some, you mentioned culture. What are some key strategies to building a strong growth oriented company culture through coaching?
Yeah, great question. Um, One of the biggest motivators, I think, for hiring a coaching team like ours is retention of top talent. And your sort of high potential leaders or your stars, both in terms of performance and then also in terms of cultural fit, to your point. And the gold standard is when you have very high performers that are also a great fit with your culture and values. And so that's really our goal as coaches for those who are a great culture fit, but maybe struggling on performance. We work on goal clarity and what's it going to take to unlock productivity, whether it's time management skills or influence and negotiation skills. And then if we have leaders that are incredibly productive, but not as strong a fit with culture and values, working with them on values alignment and through 360-degree review processes. Again, the feedback is critical in that. And also sometimes, we help people see, oh, this isn't a great fit for me. And ultimately, I think that's a gift to the organization as well, to help people who aren't a great fit see their way out through their own process of realizing this isn't a great fit for me. I want to go somewhere where am a wonderful fit for the culture and values. So,
Yeah.
we kind of have multiple levers to pull in a culture transformation. We have a number of case studies on our website talking about different culture transformations with organizations we've worked with over the years. But it's really clarity of that values and vision, and then aligning top talent, because of course leadership from the top is where the tone at the top, as they say, sets the tone for the rest of the organization.
Yeah, so very true. So I'd love to talk about growth and help to support our audience with sharing some things that you've gone through in the evolution and the growth of your company over the last 7 years for A Plan coaching. What are some of the challenges? You don't have to mention a bunch, one, or what are that you can remember the biggest challenges you've faced during your growth? Because business is ups and downs. There's peaks and valleys. What are some of the challenges you've navigated, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah. Let's see. There are many, many. So, I mean, I think that um, figuring out our right target audience in order to serve revenue growth. So we came on the scene just, a couple of years after the founding of BetterUp, another huge player in the coaching, tech-enabled coaching space. And our original tagline for A Plan was coaching for everyone. We wanted to democratize access to coaching and um, just have it not be for executives anymore, but for all levels. And we set up pricing, and the technology and the scale was all designed to do that. And BetterUp was working on something very similar at the same time and raised, this is public information, of course, about $600 million in venture funding. And Michael and I then realized we did not want to go that route. We had a number of interested investors, but we wanted to maintain our culture, our values, and ultimate control of our company. So we raised seed funds instead from trusted friends and family. And but then we realized, we can't compete with something of that size. So we had to hone our ideal customer profile, which, I mean, everyone is probably too big an ideal customer profile for anyone anyway, although it had merit in its vision. And instead, we pivoted to coaching for change makers. And we looked at who we were already working with, a number of foundations, ranging from private foundations to public foundations, but all really funding change makers. Also, we worked with a number of city governments, public servants, and then even within corporate, for example, at Nike, we worked with their innovation team and their sustainability team. Same thing at Autodesk, we're working with their philanthropy team, the foundation, and their sustainability team. Whereas, BetterUp has the broader contract sort of for everyone.
Mm.
And that was, a hard adjustment, but then really the right pivot so that people know, oh, A Plan's the right coaching team to bring in for us as change makers. And that really helped us unlock client fit, right? Ideal customer profile fit, and help them find us and us find them.
Yeah. So it's all testing. Everything's testing, right? Till you hit that runway, and then you've landed on the right thing. But until then, you just got to try and keep doing it, and keep putting the messaging out there and sharing it and making the calls, making the connections, building those relationships until you find like, okay, these are the people that are resonating with me, with us as a company, and our results and the problem that we solve, right? And
Yes.
then these are also the people that we can best serve and help. So, yeah. So that's a good message and good takeaway for you listening. If you're in that area of, I'm still feeling like I've been doing this and I'm not finding the way, or I feel like I can help everybody and I haven't found my niche, it's just a matter of keep going, right? Keep
Yes.
testing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yes.
So what would you say? Let's talk about what works then. What's worked for you as far as like getting in front of it. How are your clients finding you? How are you staying top of mind? How are you do you have a visibility strategy? What are the marketing methods or strategies that you're like this year we're going all in on these for to help A Plan coaching grow?
Yeah, thanks, Heidi. And we've run a lot of experiments, and to your point before, just keep trying new things. And it's a lot like that MAP method I talked about
Yeah.
before, right? Like, okay. And we tried cold email outreach, and we decided to abandon that strategy just because we were booking meetings, but not with decision makers.
Mhm.
Um, and again, I'm sure there are some great cold email outreach strategies that work, but the space is getting more and more noisy with AI generated emails.
Yeah.
And we just decided for us, also I don't love as a CEO getting cold email outreach, but um, although I think that's how we found each other. So somehow you did that beautifully, Heidi. So you really have got to hone, it's got to be something special and a true offer of value for that strategy to work well. And so instead, what we've been looking at are events. We do a monthly free webinar. So my dad used to always say, give away your best and sell the rest. And so
Mm,
we bring our coaches in as thought leaders, other thought leaders and mentors of ours in our monthly webinar. We also host in-person events. Um, we've had great luck just with search engine optimization and
okay.
being top of the list when someone searches for leadership coach or productivity coach, executive presence coach. So that's really worked well for us. And then we have had huge success with RFPs, requests for proposals. Because that's how we found the Obama Foundation and the city of San Francisco. And we're doing some great work with the DC Public Library system. I mean, you just would never expect, and what I love about RFPs is we always talk in sales, right, about is there band, is there budget, does the person have the authority,
Mm.
is there a need, and is there a clear timeline? And again, with cold email outreach, I was often having calls with people who just there wasn't band, either there wasn't clear budget, or they didn't have the authority, or there wasn't a clear need. And with an RFP, the reason they're seeking proposals is because they've got clear budget, authority, need, and timeline. And
Mm.
so we've had great success with RFP
Yeah.
responses.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing what's worked for you and what hasn't worked for you. And like we were sharing before, everything is experimenting and
Yeah.
testing, and something might work for you and not for a plan coaching, and vice versa. So you want to try and see what works. And again, messaging is key, and your offer has to match the need, just like you shared. And come in if you are going to be doing cold outreach. It's not selling. You are coming in with really genuine giving and serving and building a relationship. That's at the end of the day, nothing trumps business more than building relationships, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Yeah,
I
for
agree,
sure.
Heidi. And again, kudos to you for catching my eye with, a cold email outreach. And your team has been so wonderful to work with so far. I can really feel your commitment to authentic relationship building, and it works.
Well, we're grateful to have you here, sharing your wisdom and expertise. So thank you for opening it and saying yes, taking the leap, and getting through this far with us. I really appreciate it, and I'm really excited for this to air. And I can't wait for all of you that are hearing it now, because we're doing this way before you're going to hear it. So it's really exciting. So I have another question for you, which is, if you had a magic wand, if you could be handed, if we said here, and I was able to go through the screen here and give you a magic wand and say, Sarah, what is one issue that you're facing right now or handling right now, that if you could go poof and could disappear, what would that be and why?
I love this question, Heidi. And one of my longtime coaching clients calls me Glinda the Good Witch because I
Oh,
always
I love
ask her the same question.
that.
And I think Glinda also says, right, the answer is inside you. That's
Mhm.
what she says to Dorothy. But you knew how to get home all along. You just had to look inside, right? But okay, now Heidi, you're giving me the magic one. Usually it's me the one who's asking this question. So I love being asked. Um, hmm. Yeah, I will say that even though we're having, success with RFPs and search engine optimization, we have built a platform between our technology and our scale of coaches that can handle a lot more. So I still feel like I have not completely cracked the sales growth nut. And
Mhm.
I would love for us to be 4 times the size that we are now. And
Yeah.
so that would really be be it. The other piece is our business model when we were out fundraising was built on higher retention of a current body. Often the organizations that we work with, they never leave us, which is amazing. I'm so proud of that. We just have almost no turnover in our organizations,
Yeah.
but they primarily coach in cohorts. They'll say, okay, for this group of managers, we're going to give them 12 months of coaching. Okay, and now they're done. We're not going to sponsor that anymore. And we're going to give a new group of managers coaching or executives, which is wonderful, except that our business model was built on retaining individual clients for the long, long run. And a lot of times, once their business stops sponsoring it, they'll pay out of pocket and we give them a discount to do so. But I also would love to make the case to businesses for the long-term ROI of coaching, to do multi-year coaching. And I've seen the benefit of that myself. That's why Michael and I built the business model on that. I've had a coach literally every month of my life, sometimes weekly or biweekly, since I was 19 years old. Now, I know I'm an exceptional case in that way, but for me, having a great coach is like, having a great hairdresser or a great, right? I mean, a great marketing person. I would never not have it. And I've changed coaches over the years, but to me, that's my partner in optimizing my life and leadership. So there's no end date. And I think a lot of companies think about sponsoring coaching again in these 6 to 12 month
Right.
cohort. So if I had a magic wand, two things: quadruple the number of clients for us, and really helping businesses see the value of long-term coaching.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So good. And it's two things, which is exciting. Um, yeah. So I have a question because you're CEO and you've been doing this for 7 years. And I'm sure that, oh, again, I'm not saying I'm sure, I can't say I'm sure, but I'm guessing
Yes.
that the role that or your day-to-day looks different than it did 7 years ago. So can you share what your day-to-day is like now in your
Yeah.
role?
Yeah, absolutely. And I came in as CEO in 2019, so it's been 5 years. But we were, oh my goodness, had 30 coaches at the time. Now we have 80. Um, and we were working with our initial MVP technology. Now we've basically finished it. It's just, I'm so proud of it. We're not building the tech anymore. So I used to spend a lot more time um, focused on adding features and testing features and improving the tech. And now it's really, we're always wanting to add fun things to surprise and delight our clients, but mostly it's baked. And my full attention now is on scale and both selling directly and helping build out our sales and marketing team. Um, yeah, and then I still coach about 5 people because I want to be mentoring our coaches from a position of being in it right beside them
Right.
and using our technology right beside them. And that's one of the great joys of my life to get to, serve. I have some really exceptional leaders who are uh, public about my coaching of them, including the president of Capital One Bank, Celia
Oh, nice.
Karam, and Joe Spiker. He's the chief sustainability officer at Autodesk. Laura McBain, who's the managing director of the Stanford Design School. So I'm really proud of the people that I get to coach and that I, as a CEO, am still, again, in it, in the coaching conversation with the coaches that work for me.
Yeah, I really like that you're in hands-on in the core of your business. Your business is coaching,
Yeah.
and you literally have 80 coaches that you could say, "Okay, you got this." And you still keep, I mean, you can't do this isn't the number one thing you do all the time, but at least you're in it somewhat so that you can relate to the coaches that are with you. And then any challenges you're having, you're like, oh, okay, I just really think that it makes you more relatable too, and it kind of closes the gap on you being CEO and them being your coaches and so forth. I just think that's really powerful. And I think I celebrate you for doing that because not many people do that in their business. So I think it's fantastic. My last question for you, and I promise I'll let you go.
Yeah.
What if we could come back and revisit this conversation a year and you are quadrupling, right?
Yeah.
You're quadrupling your business, your
Yeah.
goals are met. What would success look like for you in A plan coaching?
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's really about the opportunity to serve change makers and be wind in their sails as they are doing their good work in the world. Um, so yes, we would have 4x as many clients. We'd probably be needing to recruit more coaches to meet all
Mhm.
that need. And we would be very strong in our own culture. It's really important to me that we walk our talk and embody our values. And I think that's a big draw for the coaches that come to work with us. We've attracted some of the highest caliber coaches in the world. And I again be transparent in terms of what has worked for us. We pay more than Better Up or Torch or some of our competitors, even pay more than Corn Ferry because we want to attract the very, very best coaches. And so, you know, that could be perceived as being at the expense of our margin, but I know from my days at Deloitte that when people are your product, you want to have the very best people.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of that. So maintaining culture, values, caliber of coaches as we grow is really important to me.
Yeah, I love that. And that's one thing as we grow, we're wanting to make sure that we're creating a really stellar team because we want to put out quality product because we want to serve to the best and we want to be considered one of the best. So I love that you do that as well. And I'm going to share with all of you listening to go, and I'm going to ask Sarah to share how you can connect with her. But I'm just going to share it before, so I don't forget to share it. That I've been on the website, I've done my research, and she is fully transparent. They are fully transparent with all the coaches, and she's when she says they're stellar, they are. So I invite you to go check out the website, and Sarah's going to share with you how you can go do that as well as connect with her. But go check it out because they list everybody on there. They don't say they have 80 coaches and then you can't find them. They're on the site. And I love that. I was like, wow, look at this amazing team. So, Sarah, how can people connect with you and reach out to you?
Yeah, thanks, Heidi. And we'd love to stay connected with you. So a-plancoaching.com, or if you just search aplancoaching.com, we've got good engine optimization, so it should come right up. And then right when you go to the site, you'll see, are you looking for coaching for you or for your organization? If you're looking for you, it'll take you to a customized instant coach matching process
Mm,
where you answer a few questions and it will immediately give you 3 recommendations for coaches that we think would be a great fit for your needs. So that's on the individual coaching, personal coaching side of things. And then for organizations, you can see testimonials from organizations we've worked with, and clear outline of how it works. But what I'd most like you to do is subscribe to our monthly newsletter.
mm.
And again, we do a monthly webinar. You'll get resources, tips, and offers from us for coaching. So we'd love to stay connected with you also on LinkedIn, Instagram. I know Heidi will have all those things, but
Mhm.
and then just download the app from wherever you like to get your apps. We've trained AI in our proprietary coaching method. So it can be just a great way to get some support without any cost. And then if you really are loving it, you could take it to the next level and experiment with having a coach. So
Yeah, we will, like as Sarah said, we'll have all of her links and all of the information, her bio as well, inside of the show notes. So you can go grab them there. But you can go to a-plancoaching.com and also connect with her on LinkedIn, Instagram, all the places. And or you can do a Google search, it'll come right up. So but definitely go check that out. And as she said, if you go into the corporate area, even if you want personal coaching, you can see the entire team. And it's magnificent and stellar. And you can learn more about the company too. I didn't go through the personals one. I went through the corporate, which so that I saw that side. I'll have to go check out the other side too.
great.
But thank you, Sarah, so much for being here today. This has been such a pleasure and an honor, and I appreciate you sharing your wisdom with us and our audience today. So thank you.
Thanks for having me, Heidi. It's really been fun.
Thank you for joining me. And if for you listening, if you're watching Sarah and I on YouTube right now, then please hit that subscribe button and leave a comment for Sarah below. Let her know that you are here and you saw her on YouTube. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platforms, such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or the others, and you can leave a review, we invite you to do so. Please leave a 5-star review and leave a comment for Sarah. This helps us share her and our guests and their expertise and knowledge with other people. It helps us reach more people. If you know that there's somebody out there that you're connected with that would benefit from hearing Sarah today, please share this episode with them. Let others know about Sarah and her amazing company, A Plan Coaching. Thank you for joining us today. If you are looking to grow your visibility, if you feel like you're doing all the things in your business and you're still not getting the traction and the visibility and the growth that you want, then go ahead and download our free Spotlight to Scale blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint. It's free. Grab it and get to work. Thank you again for listening to Sarah and I. Thank you, Sarah, for being a guest on our show today and your time. And we will see you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.